that he has done and will continue to do for us. That's all he wanted, some appreciation. Saying, Father, we love you. If you don't do another thing for us, we still love you anyway. Because what you've done for us already is more than enough. See, he loved us more than we loved ourselves. That's how much God loves us. When we think we're not worthy, God said you're worthy in my eyes. And see, that's all our Father wants. Glory be to God. That's nice. I love you, Jesus. I love you. See, there's a sweet odor in the room. See, what God wants to come in and do one of his works in our lives. All he wants to say, lift up your hand and say, glory, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Now, can we all stand once again? I'm sorry, Lord. But it's, sometimes, you want to get service going, but God is saying, praise me some more. Give me some more love. Love me some more. Yeah, God. But there comes times for the word. The most important part that we need to hear and eat. Yes, God. Yes, Father. Hallelujah. Yeah, yes, God. See, sometimes when you just want to go forward, and God said, no, rest here. Yeah, God. Yeah, God. pickup. And he comes to the highway and he's speeding and he's swerving out of control. And I'm saying to myself, Lord, if he, please don't let him hit me. But the same thing, he hit me. And I looked at his car, and his car was totaled. I was praying for the man, hoping that man is not dead, because the way he to the side of the trailer. It was gone. I get out the car and go check on the man. The man walks up to me and said, "Are you okay?" But see, this is the thing. For prayer is, he answers prayer. I'm looking at this man like, "Are you okay?" I just seen your truck is smashed in. But to God be the glory, the man walked away. Yeah. He walked away from the accident with no problems at all. And I'm saying, my God, you answer prayer. You also deliver. My God. Oh, God. See, there's people here who wants God to work. Well, God wants to work. He said, everybody stand to your feet for one moment. Everyone stand to your feet for one moment, including the kids. Because see, children, you're going to learn from the adults of how to praise God. See, this is your stomping ground right now, children. See, what you're looking at is the adults are doing, you're going to be doing later on in life. So we're going to give God a Shabbat. Give God your best Shabbat, including his. This is your ground now. So as we count, 1, 2, 3, hallelujah! Glory to God. See, when you want things done the right way, you go to God. And when you want them done the right way, you go to God. Yeah, God. Come on up, Pastor. See, he's going to bring you what God has brought. He's going to give it to us. Point to the man of God and say, Pastor, bring us what God gave you. Feed us the word of God. Let it nurture through us, oh God. Now, put your sanctified hands together for the man of God who's going to bring us the word. Pastor Joseph Walters. Hallelujah.
where I want to come from today is Deuteronomy 12 and 32. I want to make sure that everything is quick and to the point.
That's all right.
And, Deuteronomy 12, 32nd chapter, 32nd verse. It says, what things soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto nor diminish from it.
Amen.
Then turn to Deuteronomy 28 and 1. We'll go from verse 1 to verse 6. Okay, the 28th chapter, verse 1 says this. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command you this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come upon thee, and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, blessed shalt thou be in the field, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks and of thy sheep. Blessed shall be the basket and thy store. Blessed shall thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shall thou be when thou goest out.
That's all right.
The two scriptures that I just read, I'm going to come back to those. What I kind of like to do today is kind of do half of what I'm going to talk about is going to be secular in nature. Then the second half, all of it will be associated with the scripture. You know, and when I was trying to prepare for this, I kind of asked God, what's the difference between us as Christians and other people? The difference between us as Christians and other people is that we have this here, we have the Bible. The Bible is something that has a foundation that's not based in anything except results, not based in inspiration, it's not based in somebody trying to motivate you, it's based in results. And that's what the Bible does for us. There's nothing else, no other document on the planet will do for you. It's all results. And from the year 2000 to 2006, I got involved in politics. That's why I'm saying some of this is going to be secular, so that you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. Because what I want to talk to you about today is when inspiration doesn't yield any results. And from the year 2000 to 2006, I got involved in politics. You know, I ran for a city council seat. I ended up winning. And you know, when you're new to politics, you don't know nothing. You know, you're a freshman. But they have this organization called the National League of Cities, and what they do, let's say you don't understand how taxes work. Well, you can take a class on taxes, and they will teach you what taxes are, or they'll teach you how to read state statutes. If you want to write legislation, you can take a class in writing legislation.
Yes.
So they do this all over the country. It might be one session for a week, and it's going to be in New York. Then the next one might be in Texas. So I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. for classes given by this organization. And one of the things that was included in it was an evening with Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton is going to be the keynote speaker. And I have to tell you, when I saw that on the agenda, you know, man ain't excited about Bill Clinton. You know, I was like, this is going to be some hot garbage here. But I done paid my money, I'm going to go to it. So we leave the hotel and go to the auditorium where Bill Clinton is at. And it is like what you see on TV. They got snipers on the roof and people walking around outside with dogs and black SUVs lined up, Secret Services every place. They're searching all your bags. So we get inside and it's 2,000 or 3,000 people. This place is packed to hear Bill Clinton speak. And they announced the President of the United States, and Bill Clinton comes out and he starts talking, and he stands there and he gives a speech for about 30 minutes. And I have to be honest with you, the lighting was perfect. Everything in there was laid out to perfection. The way security did what they did, the way they ushered people around, the way they handled all of their business, it was picture perfect. you would look at his clothes even. I don't know who picked his clothes out, but they did a heck of a job. It looked like the suit might cost $5,000 or something. I don't know no prices, but it was expensive. So they really laid out everything for him to perfection. So he starts talking, and while Bill Clinton is talking, he cracks a couple of jokes, and it's genuinely funny. Then he goes on and he talks about stuff that, man, it sounds like he's on the mountaintop with what he's saying. And then when he finishes that, he goes all the way down the valley and makes it sound like, he's your next door neighbor. So to say that he's not a great speaker, he's an excellent speaker in person. And it might be part of the atmosphere or the way they put things together for him. But when he finished speaking, he walked around the podium and kind of kneeled down and started shaking hands. So the lady next to me knocked my portfolio out of my hand, stepped on my shoes, pushed me down in the chair. It was almost like a stampede to get up there and, shake Bill Clinton's hand. And they kind of treat him like he's almost like a messiah if you're in the background looking at what they were doing. So after it was over, they dismissed, and these 2,000 or 3,000 people, we spilled over into the restaurants around the auditorium. And you could hear the people, talking, because it's restaurants or whatever. And when the people are talking, you can hear the different comments. It's like, man, that was the best speech I've heard in my life. It really inspired me. It made me feel like we can really make it now. And then somebody from another table might have said something, I get chills up and down my spine, or goosebumps on my arm. And the people that were sitting at the table with me, we looked at each other, and the other guy said, do you remember what he said?
Wow.
No, I honestly don't. I don't know what Bill said. He said, man, I don't know what Bill said either. And so we started asking other people out, hey, what did Bill say? They were like, man, we don't know. I was like, man, Bill just tempted us. We had no idea what Bill said, but the truth of the matter is, it was inspirational. It did make you feel like you're going to make it, but Bill didn't say anything. Bill was saying absolutely nothing, but we felt good about him not saying nothing. So we're sitting around talking, and it made me realize that we're almost, how can I say it, culturally conditioned to come to a place where somebody inspires us, and you go home with shackles, but you all right about the shackles because it sounded good. It sounded great. I mean, you really were inspired. But the same problems that you came there with, you're going back home with. And that's how Bill made me, that's one of the things that Bill made me think about. I still got to go back to Gary and figure out what to do about these taxes. Wasn't no problem solved. We just felt good about the problems that we do have. And that's kind of where inspiration kind of runs off the tracks. And Bill didn't have any bad intentions. He wasn't trying to do anything sinister or anything like that. And he didn't start it. I started looking up speeches by other individuals. And one of the most inspiring speeches that you can find on paper was written in 1776. And he was saying that we find these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that God has endowed us with certain indelible rights, including the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, when that was written by Thomas Jefferson as part of the Declaration of Independence, and when he wrote that, they were patting him on his back. The founding fathers all of them signed the document. It's in a museum somewhere now on the display. I mean, it made him world-renowned that he wrote this, and that he spoke those words. So Thomas Jefferson walked right out of his library on his plantation and walked out his front porch and looked in the fields, and if he would have asked them, his slaves would have said, aren't we still slaves? I mean, that sounded great. I mean, we were really inspired. I mean, what he said, it just blew our minds, but aren't we still slaves? Then 87 years later, Abraham Lincoln stands up in Gettysburg, and he says, 47 years ago, Thomas Jefferson wrote this document about this nation that we're forming, and now here we are at the end of the Civil War. 600,000 people have lost their lives, and we're trying to figure out how do we make this work. All of our hopes, dreams, Everything that you can think of that we want to accomplish in life is tied up into this one document. And then the same question came up. Okay, it's the Civil War. You're fighting over slavery or whatever. But they were still in the same situation. Aren't we still slaves? They never gave any instructions of how to not be a slave anymore. Thomas Jefferson didn't. Abraham Lincoln didn't. And even at the end of the Civil War, they were like, do we just walk off the plantation now?
Yes.
Do we go get jobs? I mean, what do we? Inspiration without any instructions. Then Hillary Clinton was upset with Barack Obama during his first election, and she was like, man, this man, the speeches that he gives, it's like cotton candy. She's like, they don't mean nothing. They're just words. And he walks on water, turns water into wine, and surely she's making fun of him. So Barack didn't take it lying down. He was like, I need to respond to this. So how do you respond to it? He responds by saying, when the founding fathers said, we find these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, he said, were those just words? He said, those wasn't just words. He said, when Martin Luther King turned around and said, I have a dream, he's like, were those just words? And he's like, no, those weren't just words. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt said there's nothing to fear but fear itself, were those just words? And Barack was saying those aren't just words. But I have to disagree with him. All of that's just words. All of that's just talk. None of those things change our lives. All of those things are inspirational. All of those are decent men. But when you try to compare what they said to this, there's no comparison. There's no way to compare what they said to this. God gave us something that's greater than Barack, that's greater than anybody that's ever stepped up to a podium to produce words associated with their particular philosophy. When you look at something like Genesis, and the Bible talks about how God said that the earth was without form and void, that the Spirit of God moved from the face of the deep, that he spoke and said, let there be light, and there was light. Those weren't just words. See, what we have is result-based. What just words? Then when Moses is standing at the Red Sea, and the Egyptian army is surrounded them, they have nowhere to go, and he turns and says to the people, stand still and see the salvation of your God, and the Red Sea opens, they cross on dry land. Pharaoh tries to follow and it closes up on them. Those wasn't just words.
Amen.
Every time God gave a word to somebody and gave instructions to somebody and he followed it, it was results every time. Yeah. When Jesus stood on the outside of Lazarus' tomb and told him to roll away the stone and said, Lazarus, come forth, and he came out in his grave clothes, those wasn't just words. That wasn't just something that he made up or a philosophy or something he found in the back of a book somewhere, an encyclopedia. Everything that God has in this actually works. Yeah. Then when Peter walks past this man begging, he tells him, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have I give it unto thee. And the man gets up. Those aren't just words. So if those aren't just words, and everything that we have in this book is as powerful as we say it is, if our God is as strong as we say it is, how is it possible for you to go out to your car, get in and put your key in, and your gas tank is going? If that's the God that we serve, how is it possible to go to your refrigerator and it's whatever needs to be in there is not in there? How is it possible to have shut-off notices on your counter? How is it possible to have all of anything bad that can happen to somebody? My family messed up, things going wrong in my life, period, that I might not be able to necessarily share with other people, but I know my family is messed up. I tell you how you be wrong. Remember where we started at? That first scripture that we read in Deuteronomy 12 talked about God's word. It said, don't add anything to it, don't take anything away from it. And look, y'all, I'm trying to move real fast so I can sit down and we can go home through this ice. So I probably need to slow down. I'm about to lose my breath. When it talked about don't add nothing to God's word, don't take anything away from it. And then you go over to Deuteronomy 28, and in the first verse, it says that it talks about following the commandments of God. And if you follow these commands, And then if you do and obey these commandments, these are the things that will follow. You'll be blessed in the city, blessed in the field. I mean, we know all that because we just finished singing it. When this was written, when the Bible was written, period, it didn't have no verse 1, no verse 2, no verse 3. It was a scroll. And in that scroll, if you went to what we're calling Deuteronomy 28, it was a complete thought. You see, what we've done is we've taken the Bible, and because it has verses in it so we can locate things, we've used those verses to dissect it and act like God's talking to me on this part, but he's not talking to me on the other part. So Deuteronomy 28, there's no way to get verse 2 through 6 without taking verse 1 and 2. So if I stood here and told you that you're going to be blessed in the city, blessed in the field, blessed when you come in, blessed when you go out, and that's all I tell you, you've been inspired. You ain't got instructions on getting jack. You ain't getting nothing. So you have to go back to and look at the complete thought when this was written. And the complete thought is, if you do A, B automatically comes along with it. But if you don't do A, ain't no B. So you can turn on a television right now, and I'm telling you, you can hear all kind of messages about all this stuff that you're going to get, about what you deserve, what God got in store for you. I'm telling you, without the instructional part of it, you don't have nothing coming except for disappointment. And then you're mad at God because you're trying to figure out, well Lord, I took verse 8, so how come I ain't getting my stuff? It's because the other 7 verses, you left them sitting there. Like, I don't need them no more. All I need is that one verse that I went out and I grabbed that because that had something to do with me getting a promotion. That had to do with me getting whatever, I don't know, a larger house or a longer car. You know, so I can pull these promises out and stick this promise with that promise. Every promise that you pull out of this Bible has a set of instructions to go along with it. So if you pull the promise out, leave the instructions there, you don't get nothing. So now I'm upset because I keep looking in the refrigerator and I'm still not getting it. I keep looking at my gas can, I'm not getting nothing. I'm looking at my wallet and my wallet is not getting no fatter. And it makes it look like the God that we serve, he's not real, or like he lies to us. He's not lying to us. What we're doing is we're making the word of God incomplete. He's saying, don't take away or add to for a reason. Some of the best cake I've ever tasted, Sister Taylor made. So if Sister Taylor sent me a cake, and she's like, Brother Robert, I sent a cake to you, and I open it up. It's just a slice in there. I'm not being funny. I'm mad at the devil behind that. Like, where's my cake at? But that is the way the Bible is presented. You can take any book off any shelf, and I can go to the back of it. Well, I can choose 2 or 3 locations. You just tear a page out of 2 or 3 locations. Hang you those 3 pages and ask you, what is this book about? And you're like, man, I don't know. You just gave me 3 pages. It's a 600-page book. That's still what we're doing to the Bible. We want to tear this part out, exclude that part, tear this other part out, exclude that part, but we still want some results. God's like, ain't no results coming. You haven't listened to me. And one of the people that I'm most impressed with in the Bible is the Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul, short, bald-headed, ill-tempered, but he's the same individual that the New Testament, he wrote half of it. Half of the New Testament was written by Paul. But Paul had a philosophy. You see, Paul grew up in an era where if you died or had a funeral, everything was about hype and making sure that your, whatever program you were having was exciting. So if you died, if somebody in your family died and you had a funeral, wasn't nobody crying. You had to go out and hire some mourners. So you hire these 10 people to come out and cry at the funeral so that the funeral would be a success. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but that was their practice. If your daughter was getting married, you got to go out and hire some people to be glad at the wedding so that the wedding can be successful. Then you look up, and the Pharisees, how do they make sure their services turn out the way that they want to? The first thing you got to do is go to K&G and buy you some really low-down robes. So that was the first thing they did they would give them some rope, and they competed in this department. Jesus even talked about it. He talked about, well, look, when you get ready to give a prayer, don't put no long procession together, and y'all compete. I use all the big words I can think of. Then Pastor Joe used all the big words he can think of. Then Pastor Troy, he used a bunch of big words. Pastor Parker, he used a bunch of big words. And don't nobody know what's going on. They just go, well, man, that sounded slick. You see that? You see his robe? And then we sit around and we compare to each other. Man, my robe was better than yours, but you know what? I'm gonna give you one with some little gold around it. So the next time, whatever we do is gonna be exciting too. So everything was about that. And Paul was raised in the middle of that. He was a Pharisee.
Yes.
So if you want to look like you really knew God, you put some dirt on your head, get some dirt on your knees, and make yourself look sad. And then you walk in front of them, you wait till there's a crowd, you walk in front of the crowd, and they'd be like, boy, he been fasting. Ain't nothing wrong with him. But that's what they would do. They had to make sure that they gave a certain impression, that they put an entourage together on everything they did. The reason why Paul wrote half of the New Testament and accomplished what he did, this is one man that evangelized the entire continent. One person, Asia Minor. If you look at a map and they talk about the Roman Empire, he has churches all over the Roman Empire. Not, I'm going to take over Gary. That's nice. That you take over Gary. There's nothing wrong with that. But imagine taking over a whole country, the entire known civilized world, somebody evangelizing that. That's what the Apostle Paul did. And I bet one thing that you can't tell me. Do you know who the Apostle Paul's keyboard player was? You don't know that, do you? You know who his guitar player was?
No.
What about his drummer? How many praise singers did he have there? He did that with just this. Just this. And don't misunderstand me, that's my partner there. I don't want him killing me in the parking lot. It's a blessing for us to have musicians and praise singers and praise dancers and all of those things. But that's not the foundation of what we do. And that's not a seed that we can plant that will grow and produce more seed. So, well, this was quick because I'm concerned. I guess my point is that the Bible really does work. And we have to stop coming to church looking to be inspired, manipulated, hyped up, and to understand that the purpose of the Bible is so that if you came here with chains on, you can leave with chains off. And the only way to do that is to use all of it. Don't use part of it. Don't take this part because that's what I like, or take that part over here because that's the part that I like, and leave the rest of it over to the side. You get no results that way, and the Bible even says that you won't get any results that way. And without that,
awesome word, amen? We're going to put those hands together one more time for the word. Just like words, it's results. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm looking for results. I'm looking for results that was preached on today. Because everyone here today needs to be saved. You don't know Jesus and the pardon of your sin, and you need to receive Christ. We offer Christ to you today. Jesus died on the cross for your sins so that you can be saved, and that's so that you can have everlasting life. Amen. He died for all the sins of mankind. He died for all the mistakes that you could have made, all the wrong you have done. If you were a murderer, if you were a backstabber, if you were a liar, a gossiper, all those sins that we can commit, Jesus died for those sins. Amen. And if you were one of those ones, and maybe you didn't rob nobody, you didn't shoot nobody, you just ain't had the opportunity to receive Christ, and you're like, you know what, somebody needs to offer me Christ, And so let me be serious about what I'm doing, but be meaningful and knowing that I want you to be saved. It's my job, it's my duty to offer you Christ today because I'm hired to do such a thing. Amen. And because it's my job to witness to you, to bring you to Christ, encourage you to Christ. I can't force you, but it's a decision that you make because it's the opportunity that God, He said He wished that no souls will be lost. Amen. And so if He wished that no souls be lost, I'm supposed to be looking for souls. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, where are souls at? Hallelujah. If there's anyone here today that's not saved, this is the opportunity. While the blood is running in your veins, I want you to stand to your feet. Don't be embarrassed, but give God your life. Amen. Amen. If there's anybody here today that's not saved, we're going to take that. Amen. Come on, clap those hands with Jesus. Receive what God is giving. He's giving salvation. He's giving life and more abundantly. That's what He's giving today. He's giving you the opportunity. If you was to die today, you can lift your eyes up in heaven and rejoicing with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. That's what you come on, put it on that. Put it together. Amen. On today, we're receiving these four. Is there anyone else? Come back. We just want to stretch out. Amen. I'm sorry. Amen. Is there anyone else that wants to receive Christ today? Amen. We offer Christ to you. We offer Christ to you. Amen. It's a song. So come to the altar. My arms, God's arms are open wide. I can't know all the words, but it's a song that says that God's arms are open wide to everyone that wants to receive Christ. Amen. And that's what I want to do. I want to pick and pull on some people. You know, when you go to the pick and pull, you're looking for one part off their car. And what you do, you go and get what you need. Amen. And guess what I mean? I need more souls to be saved. And if you're not saved in this house today, I'm going to come and pick and pull you and bring you to Christ. Hallelujah! Glory to God. Hallelujah! Glory to God. We offer Christ today. This is serious. You made the best decision that you could have ever made in your life. You made the biggest decision that you could have ever made in your life. You made the biggest decision that you could have ever made in your life. That will change your life forever. For the better and forever. We offer Christ to you. I'm not going to pick and pull no longer, but these were the two that I had in my heart. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We're going to need a secretary to get the information and telephone numbers, all that. So we're going to need somebody that's going to do that as soon as the service, as soon as we get through offering Christ. I need you on your job to get the information right away. Hallelujah. We don't want to lose these souls. Hallelujah. Do y'all go to church anywhere? Y'all all need a church? Everybody in the church. All 5 y'all, all 6 y'all need a church. You look at it. We're going to take all 60. Hallelujah. You know what you're talking about? This church over on 2075 Rush Place. You understand? That joker is loaded with the Holy Ghost. They got a good young pastor, a good young first lady, and a good group of people that love God. And I introduce you to them. He right here. I'm grateful for this father right here. This father. This is the man of God, right? You're a man of God. Man, I know you're my cousin, but I'm going to talk about that later. But right now, I feel that you're a man of God. And the decision that you have made today and receiving Christ is the best decision that you could have ever made. It will be a blessing to your family. Because after you have found a wife, you found a good thing, but after you have received Christ, there's benefits and blessings forevermore that follows your obedience. If you be willing and obedient, you can eat the good of the land. You just heard what it said. If you follow the commandments in Deuteronomy 28:1, and all you be blessed in the city, you be blessed in the field, you be blessed when you come, and blessed when you go. That means everything that you wake up, you are blessed. Look at your neighbor, look at yourself and say, neighbor, I'm blessed. You're blessed, God. You're blessed. Now, let me receive. Let's get you to Christ first. Let's get you to Christ before I try to do anything else. That's most important. It's the way you to Christ. The Bible says in Romans 10:8, it says this.
For it said, the word is nigh you. Even in thy mouth, the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, I'm reading that. The word said, the word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth, and in thy heart, which is the word of faith which we preach. And if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and believe in thy heart, he deals with our minds, that God had raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved.
You heard that? One more scripture we want to offer to you, and that's 1 John 1:9. Amen.
1 John 1:9. We confess our sins. He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins. Cleanse us from all unrighteousness.
So we understand that He is faithful and just to forgive us of all our sins. So what you have to say is within yourself that I have sinned. Repeat after me, I have sinned. And I'm looking, God, for you to forgive me of my sins. Yeah, I said a whole lot. I'm looking for God to forgive me of my sins. Amen. I'm sorry. I realize that I have sinned. And I'm asking you to forgive me of it. Be Lord of my life. Control my thoughts. Control my speech. God, let me resemble you as I'm saved. God, show me the way. Show me how to go to and fro. Daily. In Jesus' name. Thank God. Amen. I put a little extra in there because the scriptures talk about how we should be saved. We should be saved day to day. You should not only be saved because today you got saved and you put on salvation like you put on a shirt. No, you put on salvation like it's in your skin. You can't change your skin, right? You wear your salvation every day. You wear your salvation when you're angry. You wear your salvation salvation when you're happy, when your salvation when you're sad, when you're pitiful, when you're dumb, when you're in a slump, you're still saved. You don't let nobody take your salvation from you. You don't let nobody tell you that you're not saved. What you do is you put on, you put on a helmet of salvation every day. You put on a breastplate of righteousness every day. You put on a helmet of salvation every day. It's what you do every day. So you saved every day. You're not just saved only today and then you saved on Wednesday, but you saved every day. Every day. This is for the results that God is looking. I love the message that you preach at around because it's looking for results. I'm looking for results behind the word. Looking for results behind the word that was just preached, the word that was just spoken to you. So your salvation as a result of the word is pleasing God. You are now pleasing God. God is happy with you. He's happy that you're no longer an old preacher, but you are a new preacher, and the old man has passed away, and behold, you are brand new. You are brand new. What's your name? Kiki. You are brand new. Kiki. What's your name? You're brand new. You're brand new. Jamal, brand new Jamal. Ebony, brand new Ebony. Okay, you're brand new. Jalen, brand new Jalen. Demetrius, I'm a brand new Joe. Brand new Demetrius, brand new all y'all. Brand new all those that pray, you're brand new. Come on, put those hands for the back. You're brand new. So now you have received Christ. We're talking about Jesus Christ. You receive Jesus Christ as your Lord and your Savior. You are now, if you were to die today, you will leave out of here going to heaven. Right away. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And we don't talk about the fact that we got to die. We got to die one day. And it might be, we don't know when it's going to be, but I want to be in the presence of the Lord as soon as possible. So what you did, you took on ownership and knowing that you made a decision that would change your life forever. So now you're a brand new creature. So now we offer you salvation. We offer you Christ. Let me offer you now a ministry. A brand new ministry that's starting brand new. Amen. Brand new. 2 years old. Even though we're 42 years old this year, we're a brand new pastor. I'm brand new with this. Learning every day. Learning how to win souls. Learning how to be a man. Learning how to be a man of God. Learning how to be a husband. Learning how to be a father. Learning how to do it every day. I don't know all the years of experience that I have and all the years of experience that you have as being a father and a husband. You still can learn something. You can still learn something as being a mother to your son. You can still learn something. You can still learn how to be a choice man of God. You want to be a choice man of God. You want somebody to choose you because you are that kind of guy. You want a man to choose you because you are just that kind of woman. You understand what I'm saying? So on today, I want to offer you a ministry since all y'all say y'all don't have a church. You do have a church? Okay, well thank God for you. You receive Christ? Amen. Amen. Thank God for you. Amen. You can take your seat. You don't want to take somebody else's number. Amen. Thank God for you. Thank God. We don't want to do that. We want to be mindful of other people's members. But what you should do is, Kiki, when you go back to your church, tell your pastor you got saved. And you want to go to work. You want to be involved. You want to be a part of the ministry. You want to help the ministry grow. You got something to offer to the body of Christ, okay? So please don't take this lightly. You just got saved. You just hungry. You just ready. You rejuvenated. Amen. So the rest of y'all, you got children? You got children? You got children? You got children? Ooh, these are the ones we're looking for. Amen. Come on, bring those hands with you. Amen. I can water that. I don't want to take you into this, but I will take y'all. Amen. So if you don't have a church home, can I introduce you to one like I mentioned before? Okay, but y'all, we want to come back or we want to join that? What you think? You want to join that? She said she want to join that. Ain't no pressure. You can say no. Just come back. You'll join that. What about you? That, man, look here. Put those hands together. They're ready to join now. Somebody say, what? Now, because you got all our family. You got all family. Your family back there, right? Sister Rose is your mom. Oh, not Rose, Sarah's your mom. Thank God for Sister Sarah, amen. Thank God for you daily. Amen. So we're thankful for Sister Rhonda joined last Sunday. And she brought her family back to join this Sunday. Amen. I'm grateful for what God is doing. Amen. Y'all excited about that? There was 5 souls last week, and there's 5 souls in the baby. That's 10 people in 2 weeks. Come on, put those hands together. Father, this one is of the church. All of the church. 1, 2. The big boys and your grandson. So you, as a father, have made a decision to bring your family to church. And I'm thankful for you, man. You don't even understand how grateful I am for the fact that you brought your family, made a decision, and brought your children to come and be a part of what you want to be a part of in ministry. And so, by you being a man of God, a priest of your home, having the responsibilities that you have as providing for your household as you do, as I heard, you're a great provider. Thank God for you being a great provider for your family, but you also have given your life to Christ and made the best decision you can make this month, this year. That will be a blessing to you and your offspring. The Bible says that a wise man, a good man, leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And so what you have done now, you've already opened the door for God to overwhelm you with more than enough. You don't even understand, but I'm going to explain it to you over time on how God has equipped you to be a blessing to your children and your children's children. Because you made this decision to give God your life and to follow me as I follow Christ, you're going to be blessed because you made the decision. You answered the call. God was calling you to be saved, and you answered the call. And because you answered this call, God is going to bless you more than you can understand. More than you can understand. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. Neither has it entered the hearts of man that God, the things that God has in store for you. He's going to do exceeding abundantly above all that you ask for. He's going to blow your mind, man. I'm going to be praying. He's going to blow your mind. He's going to blow your mind. So, because you have all agreed to join the Old Path Word Church, and I also agreed to follow me as I follow Christ. Are you willing to follow me as I follow Christ? Are you willing to be faithful with your time, your talent, and your tithes? The tithes are 10%.